Hello there everybody, What Culture Wrestling's Adam Cleary here, and you might not think there's all too much to WWE posters, but I have to be honest, I don't care what you think. I mean, alright, yes, fair enough, they are merely marketing literature designed to get punters to part with all of their pennies, but they do always fall into very, very specific categories, don't they? You've got your typical tete-a-tete, which sees feuding foes staring down with cross faces, think WrestleManias 3 and 28. Then there's the angry man on the warpath category, of which The Undertaker and Triple H are absolute pros in this department. Finally, and usually reserved for the biggest shows, is the high school yearbook collage of just about everybody on the roster imaginable, with John Cena at the front. They are as formulaic as a Adam Wilborn outro. All very familiar, you might think, all very boring, you might think, but no. Peer closer into the 30-plus year history of WWE's posters and you will see the odd secret, the odd clue, the odd reveal, the odd telltale, the odd curiosity, the odd oddity hidden within. So yes, my name is Adam Cleary and these are 8 secrets hidden in WWE posters you never knew about. Number 8, The Undertaker is in the MCU. See, the really fascinating thing about the Royal Rumble 91's enduring popularity of its poster is not so much who's on it, but more about who drew it, because take a little look, take a really close look at this, and you will notice that some of the people making their way to the ring look a little bit off. Texas Tornado is dressed like Zeus, Earthquake is providing the template for Fred Ottman's fall as the Shockmaster, albeit without the mask, and Mr. Perfect is, well, I don't know what's going on there. Christ, even Hulk Hogan looks disturbingly wrong. The Big Boss Man is fine, granted, but that's because it's almost impossible to draw a copper wrong. But the reason a lot of these just don't quite look right is because it wasn't drawn in-house by one of WWE's many on-hand illustrators, but by future Marvel Comics heavyweight, or pen heavyweight, whatever you want to call him, Jim Jusko, who the company weirdly commissioned for a number of random projects in '91. Now, Jusko would eventually go on to do the iconic WrestleMania 7 poster where he finally got Hulk Hogan almost right, but his most interesting project by a mile was doing some early concept art, some early illustrative ideas for a new character that WWE were thinking about debuting. That character was The Undertaker. That was his first project, his first major, real, interesting character project in WWE. So technically, that means The Undertaker is part of the MCU. Sort of. Number 7, only 1% can travel through time. Yes, EC3 might have almost entirely vanished out of everybody's existence the last couple of months, but there is a very good reason for that. He's a time traveler. You see, the 1% fell through the vortex of the 4th dimension to handcuff Triple H in 2009 after the game broke and indeed entered Randy Orton's suburban family home. A year prior, Dixie Carter's favourite nephew was on the other side of the law, pictured in prison behind Triple H. Yes, there you go, on the poster of Judgment Day 2008. Squint, go on, squint really hard. You can just about make him out to the left of Hunter, being all angry and such. Where will he and his red cup turn up next, you ask? Perhaps an episode of Doctor Who, some landmark historical event, Raw, SmackDown. The possibilities are almost endless. Number 6, the Batista Redemption. Now, as I'm sure you're well aware, wrestling has never been afraid to borrow quite heavily from the world of Hollywood. And by that I mean literally steal ideas wholesale from the world of cinema and then just put a bit of Lycra on them and repackage them as posters, marketing gimmicks, pay-per-view videos, whatever they want, even when it doesn't make any sense. Case in point, when The Undertaker prepared to take on Yokozuna in a casket match, you remember the one, it somehow had Chuck Norris involved in all of this. They decided that the dead man's silhouette perfectly matched that of Clint Eastwood's Western Unforgiven, the poster from that, so they just made their own version of it and released it as the marketing for their pay-per-view, and that just made no sense. And this is completely unconnected, but annoys me nonetheless. When they actually started doing their own pay-per-views called Unforgiven, they never revisited that idea. So they stole the Unforgiven poster from cinema and then did their own pay-per-view called Unforgiven and didn't just keep the... So that's just me. And speaking of Unforgiven, 2008's version of that particular pay-per-view saw Chris Jericho competing in a championship scramble match, of all things. So what would you do with that? You got Unforgiven, you got the history of the cowboy stuff, and you got Jericho, and you got the championship scramble. What would your poster be for that? Would it be, I don't know, Batista recreating the Shawshank Redemption poster? Is that what you do? Does that make sense to you? Because that's what they did for some reason 14 years after the film came out. Why? Number 5, the Native American Dead Man. Yes, that's right, giddy children arriving home with their VHS copy of Survivor Series 1993 would have been dead excited to shove it into the thing and press play. I do remember VHS cassettes, I am old enough for that, but only vaguely. You did, didn't you? You put it in, you press play, it had to track. There was no AV at the time. Yeah, I think that's how it went. Anyway, they might have noticed something was wrong about the box for that particular cassette, and not that Lex Luger is 20 foot tall and made of bronze. Bronze and ham, let's say. Yes, a quick round of Spot the Difference revealed one significant change between the home video release and the autumn pay-per-views poster. Tatanka, who was a late withdrawal from the show owing to fictional injuries incurred at the hands and buttocks of Luger and Yokozuna, is replaced by the Betsy Ross flag-toting Undertaker, complete with ceremonial fork. Now, I don't mean to be a cynic about this, but it's almost as if, rather than just like redoing the poster or taking the Undertaker out of it, almost as if it was easier for whoever was in the art department to just draw the Undertaker over to Tatanka, wasn't it? It's almost as if that's what happened. And this is just, I mean, this might just be me being me, but given that they went through all the trouble to remove Tatanka from this because he was kayfabe injured, and then all the trouble again to draw the Undertaker over the top of it, they still left Jerry Lawler on that box, despite him being withdrawn from the show after being accused of sexual assault. Weird. Number 4, there's something in my eye. Yes, another Judgment Day, another sneaky secret here. When The Undertaker returned in the year 2000, there were gasps all around the arena, weren't there? Everybody went, oh my god, that's those are some horrible fumes from that motorbike, because nobody was actually surprised at his return, were they? Because they spoiled it loads. I mean, don't get me wrong, none of us knew he was going to swap the mortuary for the motorbike hall. Is that where motorbike people hang out? I don't know, answers in the comments. But we still were not surprised when he appeared in Louisville, Kentucky, because they kept releasing vignette after spoiler after poster clue after everything else. You remember all the creepy wee girls with the heat here bit, don't you? So unless they were doing a cult leader, they knew it was going to be The Undertaker, didn't they? But they did the worst spoiler by a mile in the poster. I mean, don't get me wrong, in the days before like high-res saved images and everybody on Reddit scouring through all these things, you would have to have had the eyesight of a goddamn kestrel to see this, but peer into Kane's eye on the poster, and what is that? Why, it's the Undertaker's logo. It's the exact same thing he crucified Stephanie McMahon on in the months prior to his disappearance. It was on the poster. It was just, there it is. He's not been seen for months, and his logo's on the poster. Ooh, shocking. Number 3, whose hands are they anyway? Several months before Vengeance Night of Champions, which is a pay-per-view title which still annoys me to this day, because Vengeance Night of it's the night of the champions' vengeance. It's the night you get the revenge on the why do they need vengeance if they're still the champ? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but I digress. The washers went off the internet's taps when, months before the event, the poster for the show leaked, and because it was Night of Champions, we had WWE Champion John Cena, ECW Champion Bobby Lashley, and World Heavyweight Champion The Undertaker all on the poster, which is, I mean, nothing wrong with that, but between the poster leaking and the actual event, they all had multiple title defenses still to come. Now, this was obviously a massive gaffe on WWE's part. They knew exactly who was still going to be the champion by then, and they accidentally let that out, thus rendering the results of all the title defenses completely worthless. But as fortune should have it, I guess, in a way. Okay, it's not really very lucky, but anyway, got them out of a hole. The Undertaker had to give the title to Edge so he could take some time off to nurse a bicep injury. So, haha! Joke's on you, internet. That's not going to be the final poster, because those aren't going to be the 3 champions at the time, but they had already done the poster. So, while they had a booking stroke of fortune, whoever was in the art department all of a sudden had a bit of a headache, because they've already done the poster and the Undertaker's on it, so what do? Ding, light bulb moment in the art department. Some genius had the idea of, rather than going through all the trouble of taking Edge for one photograph, to simply just Photoshop him into that poster and plonk him where the Undertaker was. Great idea. Saves you an afternoon, means Edge can go and get some extra downtime. But, right, what they did was they only put some of him in the poster. Those are still the Undertaker's disembodied hands holding the Rated R Championship. Why? Number 2, a 29-man Rumble. Alright, absolutely no jokes about this one whatsoever. The Chris Benoit tragedy necessitated a root and branch change in all of WWE's marketing. His name is still unutterable on broadcast. You still cannot search for him on the network. They have expunged him from history entirely. Absolutely nothing has been beyond them in this pursuit. They have airbrushed him from history entirely, and the lengths they have gone to are genuinely quite impressive. It even extends to changing pay-per-view posters some 13 years after they came out. In the original hand-drawn poster for the 2001 Royal Rumble, Benoit can be seen just over the shoulder of eventual winner Stone Cold Steve Austin. Meanwhile, Farouk fills the ranks of the back row, leering behind his former ministry master, The Undertaker. But for the pay-per-view's preview on the WWE Network, launched in 2014, the class photo had been reconfigured somewhat. Ron Simmons has now been the recipient of a full face transplant, sitting right next to Stone Cold Steve Austin, while there is this eerie, grey, nothing figure in the background where he once was. And of course, if you have a quick look, you will notice that Chris Benoit is now nowhere to be seen. Number 1, Commander-in-Chief, but not a ref. Cast your minds back to 2011 and WWE brought a pay-per-view to Washington, D.C. for the first time in like 2 years or something. So they themed the entire thing around the fact they were in the nation's capital and called it Capital Punishment. And they've not used that one for a while, but I guess it could make a bit of a comeback at one of the Saudi Arabia shows. Anyway, I digress. They themed the whole thing around the Washington Monument. I think it's called the big, is it the Capitol building? The one with the dome, it's not the White House, the one with the domed roof and the little pointy bit. I don't know. I've never been to Washington. I don't know all that much about American political buildings. Let me know in the comments if that's right, and if not, then, I don't know, get over it. But one slightly weird decision they made was, in the weeks leading up to the show, they put out ads splicing footage of Barack Obama in between WWE superstars, as they leaned as hard as they possibly could into the political angle. But America gets a little bit tetchy when it comes to politics sometimes, so they have to keep putting out these disclaimers saying that all this footage of Obama was not some kind of endorsement of him, but merely the long-held American tradition of political parody and comedic satire. But this all went to the millionth degree when they put out a poster which had this cartoonized version of John Cena wrestling Rey Mysterio for the WWE Championship with Barack Obama as the special guest referee. The company were literally forced to put out a statement saying that that was not a match that was taking place at the pay-per-view. You were not getting Cena versus Mysterio with Barack Obama as the special guest referee. Actual human beings, people like you or I, looked at that poster and went, huh, Obama's the special guest referee. People actually thought that, so they had to put out a statement saying, no, the president is not refereeing a match. The really weird thing is, when you think back to Obama being president, that's a ridiculous concept, isn't it? Whereas now, never know. Yeah, so anyway, they piled into all their social media saying, no, he's not booked, he's not on the show, it's just a bit of publicity. Please calm down, you bad nerds. So, yes, there you go. Those are 8 secrets about WWE posters you did not know. And you're lying if you say you did, but now you do because I told you, because that is my job. You are all welcome. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. I have literally been What Culture Wrestling's poster boy, Adam Cleary. Pew! Proud of that one. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.